All right. Welcome in, everyone. Welcome in. We are going to be playing some Great Ace Attorney Chronicles today. Now, this is going to be the start of the final episode. So, just as a FYI, this entire game, the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles, was broken down into two games: Adventures and Resolve. We are on Resolve, which is the second game. Each one of those games is broken down into 5 episodes. Really, an episode is like a full case. So we usually take like several of our episodes to cover one case. Now, this is the first case that is broken into 2 parts. So we finished the 4th part of the game last time, and it didn't resolve the case. So I'm assuming we'll be picking up there when we get started. So I'm excited to see what this is all about. So let's go ahead. It looks like everything looks okay. Let's go ahead and get an intro and let's get started. So here we go. Greetings, friends, and welcome to Enigma Night Gaming. My name is Liara, and I will be your guide in today's adventure. Today we're playing the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles, and in today's episode we are going to begin the final showdown. This is the second part to the massive case that involved Van Zieks and Gregson's murder and all the chaos that was associated with the professor case from 10 years ago. All the secrets have to come to a head now, and we are going to hop in and see what exactly is going to be revealed. So without further ado, let's hop into the game. All right, here we go. The Resolve of Ryanoki. All right, Naruhodo. Final chapter. This is what the name of the game is, The Resolve. Oh boy. The 3rd of November, 9:14 a.m. The Old Bailey Defendant's Antechamber. So, the time's finally come. Today, we unravel everything. She looks sad. I'll be counting on your support more than ever today, Mrs. Sato. She just looks out of it, not happy at all. Mrs. Sato? Oh no! What's the matter, Mr. Naruhodo? You just flipped us. That's what's the matter. Nothing. I was just saying that I'll be relying on your support today, but... I'm so sorry, of course. I know I can be rather incompetent at times, but I shan't let you down. I would never call you incompetent. Would you mind helping me to my feet then? Oh dear, I'm really very sorry. She is totally out of it, man. Tazada-san isn't her usual self at all. She's like totally lost in her thoughts. But that's hardly surprising, I suppose. She just found out that her father is the partner of a world-famous detective. Not to mention that Iris is probably her sister. Good morning, sir. She's so... Oh. Lord Van Zieks. Thank you for all your efforts yesterday. Well... Did I hear that correctly? We got thanked by Van Zieks? What? Oh, nothing. Just I hope we can clear things up today. I really can't make this man out. His face says, I hate you, but his words are almost jovial today. In fact, he hasn't been very Reaper-like at all since this all began yesterday. Lord Van Zieks isn't the Reaper, Mr. Naruhodo. Good point. We still don't know who the Reaper is. The Reaper, I suppose, in hindsight, I shouldn't have allowed that misconception to go unchallenged. Huh? It was my tacit acceptance of that pseudonym. My failure to stop the Reaper becoming something more than a mere legend that led to all this. But you're not to blame for that, Lord Van Zieks. It's only because serious crime in the capital dropped off so sharply when the public started calling you that. That's why you didn't say anything, isn't it? To be frank, I'm not sure that was the sole reason. What do you mean? There was a rumor at the time that the Reaper was really the ghost of my late brother. Oh boy? That having been slain by that evil killer, Clint's restless spirit returned as some sort of demigod, to wield a deadly blade of justice, where I, by dint of law, could not. Yes, we've heard that story too. When I lost him... Oh boy. I felt as though I'd lost my guiding light. I didn't know where to go or what to do. And so, in some small way, I wonder if perhaps those rumors made me feel his absence a little less keenly. So it was kind of like his coping mechanism then for dealing with his grief. Even if I knew it was just an illusion, just some nonsense conjured up by an over-imaginative public. He was obviously extremely important to you, Lord Clint Van Zieks. Well, what's important now is uncovering the truth. That's all that matters. I know you didn't take anyone's life. And I intend to prove that beyond a shadow of a doubt in court today. I never thought I'd say this, but I can see it in your eyes. That burning desire to cut through all the lies and deception. I can't deny it any longer. You are a lawyer of absolute integrity. Oh my, we've just gotten a compliment from our arch enemy. Thank you. My goodness. Who'd have thought all it took was having him as the defendant? Now tell me, why do I detect the scent of expensive tea leaves in the air? It's Iris. Oh, Iris, when did you get here? Oh. I brought you one of my special blends. Hurley loves it. He says it helps him to clear his head. I thank you. Oh, hee hee. She's blushing. That's surely the first and last time I'll ever see a sight like this, exactly. You seem different today, Iris. Oh? Sort of subdued, I suppose. Well, that makes her and Susato both. Both of them are acting off today. I am not. What happened yesterday is obviously still playing on her mind a lot. She's clearly very troubled about having stolen that autopsy report from Dr. Sai's laboratory. I mean, she is a pretty good girl, so I can imagine it. All right, then. Good luck to you both. I have to make a move now. Oh, you're not staying? I thought you'd want to watch today's proceedings. Well, I'd like to cheer you on, obviously. But I've got lots to get ready. Get ready? For what? Oh, yes. Would you take this? It's a little doll. Isn't that one of the little felt dolls that's usually dangling from your knapsack? Yes, it's a lucky charm. A little Hurley that I made once. He's a rabbit. A Hurley, it looks more like a Hairley to me. If for some reason you completely run out of options in the trial today, then just pull this little Hurley's ears as hard as you possibly can. What? Pull his ears? That's right. It's a way to bring good luck. I think you might need it. I bet there's a secret hidden inside. Iris's lucky charm has been entered into the court record. All right. Well, we got to keep that in mind. You think what we'll need is luck? What we need is logic. I just sneaked a peek inside the courtroom, and it seemed very different to normal. Yes, it would seem. And that a certain someone has decided to pull out all the stops. What does that mean? I assume Kazuma has a surprise planned for us? Oh boy. What about Mr. Sholmes, Iris? I don't know. He was out all night and he hadn't come home by the time I left this morning. Oh, I see. Was Professor Mikatoba out all night too, do you think, Miss Sato? Yes, it would seem so. I telegrammed the hotel this morning. And apparently, they didn't come back to their rooms last night at all. I hope they're okay and they haven't run afoul of something. They? Father and Judge Jigoku, I mean. Judge Jigoku, too. That's right. Nobody appears to have seen either of them since yesterday. Counsel for the defense and the defendant. Court is about to be in session. Please make your way inside the courtroom at once. Oh boy, it's time. Good luck then, Runo. Good luck, Susie. Yes, thanks, Iris. We're probably gonna need it. And you, Mr. Reaper, I hope it goes well. Once again, I thank you for the delicious tea. It was very soothing. Oh, I'm so glad. Iris, always doing good deeds for everyone. We must go inside now, Lord Van Zieks. Oh boy, I wonder what the surprise is. I'm super curious. Lord Van Zieks has always been the formidable prosecutor I've had to lock horns with in court. But not today. Today, I battle with another in pursuit of the truth. My best friend, Kazuma Ashogi, who I trust more than anyone else in the world. Now I understand what it was that drew me here to Britain all those days ago. Was it days ago? Now I know exactly what destiny had in store for me. It's all been leading up to this one day, to this one trial, to this one final reckoning where all the secrets come out. Gotta love it. Alright, so now we're going to be 3rd of November, 9:30 a.m., the Old Bailey courtroom. Oh my. There's no judge. Where's the judge? Feels even more oppressive here than it did yesterday. There are cold stares piercing me like knives from all sides today. Ah, Mr. Naruto, look. Lord Strongheart? Oh man. Kazuma must have known beforehand. The ramifications of this trial now extend far beyond the murder of one Scotland Yard inspector. In fact, events have come to light that threaten to rock the very foundations of our country's legal system. The escape of a condemned criminal on the night of his execution, the subsequent unlawful shooting of the man, and the revelation that prison staff must have been complicit in the jailbreak. Britain is currently hosting influential members of the judiciary from countries all around the world. It is imperative that we uncover the truth in these proceedings to avoid international embarrassment. By royal decree, this will continue to be a closed trial, and one over which I, male Strongheart, exercise total and unequivocal authority. Oh dear. Uh-oh. He's the judge, jury, and executioner? The 6 jurors' flames just... As was the case in yesterday's proceedings, those here present in the public gallery are distinguished members of our judiciary assembled to bear witness to a fair judicial process. In other words, a collection of your acolytes, Lord Strongheart. Oh man, the accusations being thrown. On a personal note, I find this most distressing, Lord Van Zieks. You were a prosecutor of exceptional talent. Much like your brother Clint, in fact. Shouldn't have brought up his brother. It's so weird. In the name of Her Majesty the Queen, I hereby declare this court to be in session. Oh no, we're going to be on a time limit. For the trial of Barak van Zieks, who officially stands accused of murder. Oh boy. Counsels for the prosecution and defense, are you in full readiness to proceed? The defense is ready, my lord. I mean, we're as ready as we're ever going to be. As is the prosecution. Yesterday's proceedings brought to light a shocking and disturbing fact. There was a side to the victim, Inspector Tobias Gregson, that was unknown to his superiors at Scotland Yard. Yes, he was carrying out operations in secret, which Scotland Yard knew nothing about. And in those clandestine operations, he had an accomplice. That was, yes, Mr. Vigil. Mr. Daily Vigil, who would be given the inspector's identification and present himself around the capital in order to establish credible alibis for Gregson. In that way, Gregson appeared to be carrying out his regular Scotland Yard work, when in fact he wasn't. At the end of yesterday's session, Mr. Vigil, who had been suffering from amnesia, regained his memory. It would appear he buried his memories of the time deep inside himself as a means of self-preservation. Because whilst he was engaged as a chief warder at Barclay Prison, he abetted the convict's escape. Now the question is why? Why did he do that? Mr. Vigil is currently recuperating at St. Sinner's. And the trial has barely begun, exactly. He's recovered enough to give a signed statement about his movements on the day prior to the incident. Oh boy. He's formally admitted to posting as Gregson whilst investigating the Red-Headed League. Which brings us to the crucial issue of the victim's time of death. The defense yesterday proposed a suggestion that the victim may have been killed one day earlier. This was based largely on the discovery that the victim's pocket watch had not been wound. The prosecution has something to report on that subject, my lord. Uh-oh, what do we have now? Really? Go ahead, Prosecutor Shogi. I met once again with the coroner yesterday to discuss the issue. She confirmed that the defense's suggestion could not be ruled out. I mean, we knew that. That's what we had to find out. It's entirely possible that Inspector Gregson was killed on 31st October, the day before his body was discovered. It's possible. I have here an updated autopsy report that includes the amended details. But the official opinion of the investigation team was made clear yesterday, that the time of death was 5 p.m. on 1st November. There are indications of an attempt to disguise the real time of death, however. It seems that the natural decaying process of the victim's body may have been slowed by keeping it chilled. That's out of the question. There are no refrigeration devices in that part of London large enough to accommodate a human corpse. My lord, this is more than just conjecture. There's evidence to support the idea. We must investigate it thoroughly. Very well. The court will accept the new report as evidence. However, if this updated report is deemed to be accurate, it would give renewed significance to the movements of the victim on the day before the Fresno Street incident. It would, yes, especially since on that day, Inspector Gregson was using Mr. Vigil to cover up his real movements. It's conceivable that he was killed in the course of his secret activities. Do I sense that the prosecution has some information regarding those activities? Scotland Yard put an enormous effort into investigating that precise matter yesterday. What did they find out? I think we should begin by presenting the results of that investigation work. So the prosecution calls its first witness now. Who is it? I'm curious. Oh boy. Of course it's Gina. It's already a mess. State your name and occupation for the court. Inspector Gina Lestrade, reporting. Reaper Sensitive of Scotland Yard. Ripper Sensitive. She can't say it. A self-conferred rank, but never mind. Gina, again? What's your problem, Odo? What's with that Gina again? Look, eh? The boss meant the world to me. He done more for me than anyone else ever did. Oh, Inspector Gregson, you mean? He got me out of the back slums of the East End and took me under his wing. Taught me that life can have a purpose. So that's why I'm the best person to be standing here speaking for him. Oh, Gina. Right, all out of the goodness of Gregson's heart. Not at all that he had his arm twisted by Mr. Sholmes, no. What's relevant to these proceedings is that the outcome of Scotland Yard's investigations yesterday has revealed that the victim was carrying out some assignment the police knew nothing about. Very troubling. That face. Lord Strongheart knew. Like, none of this is a surprise to him. So, Inspector Lestrade, let's hear exactly what it says in that report. Coming right up, sir. Oh boy. Let's see. I'm so curious. The victim's movements. All yard detectives are supposed to follow orders and investigate what they're told. But a little search of the boss's office turned up a notebook that had a lot of secret meetings in it. According to that, the boss was looking into some smuggled good dealings that day. Looks like it was a big job and all, but the coppers weren't onto it yet. What matters most is there's witnesses what saw the Reaper at the place too. Okay, so they saw Van Zieks there. That's smuggled goods. I don't know, do I? I'm just telling you what was written in the book. Tobacco, tea, spices, medicines, goods of all sorts flow into London by illegal channels from across the globe. It's well known that they're disposed of at regular black markets that take place in the capital. But the police are rarely able to locate them in time. So Inspector Gregson was investigating one of those black markets? It's been suggested that high-ranking government officials may be involved in black market activity. No doubt Gregson was trying to avoid details of his investigations being leaked to the involved parties. I mean, that makes sense. And that would explain why he was operating on his own authority without the Yard's knowledge. And do we know where the dealings were taking place this time? In a particular room of a certain exclusive London gentleman's club. Oh, really? And on the day in question, the accused is known to have been there. That's the conclusion of Scotland Yard's investigation into the matter. That can't be. We haven't heard anything about any of this. Members of the club have testified to it. There's no question. The accused, Barak Van Zieks, was present. That would be very significant testimony, then. Oh my, but... Lord Van Zieks made no mention of this at all. In short, Lord Van Zieks had ample opportunity to murder the victim. Oh, man. Very well, then, counsel for the defense, begin your cross-examination. Oh, I don't even know where we're going to begin with this one. Time to press everything. Alright, here we go again. All yard detectives are supposed to follow orders and investigate what they're told. So, you follow orders, do you, Gina? Nah, not me. I'm above all that, see? Oh. The boss always had special orders for me. Grab us some fish and chips, or go and give Toby his grub, that kind of thing. I mean, that's very mighty police work. So errands more than orders, then. This detective is still an apprentice after all. Yeah, well, this apprentice ain't one to sit around and wait to be told what to do, even by the boss. That's why I've been doing my own investigations into what happened. I didn't find much at first, but a little search of the boss's office turned up a notebook that had a load of secret meetings in it. I would love to see this in evidence. She went through Inspector Gregson's things. Yep, as part of the independent Lestrade investigation. I'm sure your superiors would be delighted that you're taking the initiative. So I snuck into his office when no one else was about. Of course, if anyone at the yard had seen me going in there, they'd have toughed me straight out onto the street. This is sounding less and less like an investigation and more like something else, like some breaking and entering. The prosecution understands that it was this very detective who discovered the notebook. You got that right. Nothing gets past Inspector Lestrade and her trusty assistant, Chief Inspector Toby. We found it hidden in one of his desk drawers that had a false bottom. That's impressive. So then I went to hide myself where no one could find me, so I could have a butcher's at what was written in it. Of course, if anyone at the yard had found me out, they'd have turfed me straight out onto the street. Of course they would. I've given it in now, though, ain't I? And if it weren't for me, it would have never have been found. Of course, I mean, that could be true. According to that, the boss was looking into some smuggled good dealings that day. Smuggled goods. Do you have any idea where those dealings were taking place? Yep. It was all there in the boss's notes. Let's see if I can remember. As I already said, the illegal dealings were due to take place at a gentleman's club. Yes, I remember, but I was hoping to find out the name of the club. That won't be necessary. What? It's conceivable that the club might be used again by the smugglers in future. Therefore, the prosecution has been asked not to reveal the name in these proceedings. Is that because you think the smugglers are in this courtroom right now? I mean, I don't know what the fuss is about. It's right here. All I've got to do is read it out. And I could too. I've got this reading game buttoned up now. Can't I show you what I can do? Go on. What's the arm? The judge hasn't signaled his objection yet. I could try to find out. What should I do? Yeah, I want to see. We need all the information we can get. This is a closed court. The proceedings are confidential. There shouldn't be any possibility of the information being leaked. As I explained, there is some possibility of politicians being involved in this affair. The prosecution is rightfully exercising caution, I imagine. I mean, that was kind of what I was thinking. No, my lord. The prosecution has no objection. Oh my? Kazuma? There's no question that Inspector Gregson was looking into these black market dealings. However, it's not yet been established that he was on that particular trail on the day in question. If the defense requires to know the club's name, the prosecution has no intention of being obstructive. Okay, I don't know if it'll help us, but we'll see. Right then, I get to show off me reading skills. Apparently, the smuggled good deals was gonna happen at a gentleman's club called the Grouse. Looks like it was a big job and all, but the coppers weren't onto it yet. I think I could have pressed that last statement. We'll come back and press it. So how had Inspector Gregson come to find out about it in that case? That's a question, ain't it? But I'm just an apprentice, so... Why didn't he inform Scotland Yard of his findings? Yeah, that's what I was asking myself, cause you know, I'm just an apprentice. When it suits you, yes. Anyway, the point is, something went on at that club, no question. You can't say that for certain, though, surely. Oh boy. What matters most is there's witnesses what saw the Reaper at that place too.
Hold it!
I'm curious about that. Lord Van Zieks was at the club? He was. Detectives who visited the club yesterday to make inquiries have confirmed it. Several members report having seen the accused being admitted to the room in question as a guest. It looks like there's no disputing that he was there then. Well, we know that Lord Van Zieks was investigating Inspector Gregson, don't we? Perhaps he'd already discovered the inspector's secret notebook. Which led him to the club, you mean? Maybe. Presumably, then, there are also eyewitnesses who can testify that Gregson was there. Maybe. None have been identified at this time, no. So the all-important victim wasn't seen at this mysterious club. Alright, wait, you're asking Inspector Lestrade here, eh? So that's all I've got to work with. Gina's not holding back with that ice-cold stares of her, is she? I really don't know what to make of all this. Lord Van Zieks told us that he was investigating Inspector Gregson, but he never once mentioned that he met the inspector the day before the incident. You don't think Lord Van Zieks could have been lying to us, do you? That's not the only way to explain this. Oh. If everything Lord Van Zieks has told us is true, then there must be a mistake in this testimony somewhere. You mean there are details we've yet to uncover? Exactly. A clue, perhaps, that even Gina hasn't noticed. Okay, that's what we should be looking for here. So let's go back and press that one statement about the club name. Alright. Apparently, the smuggle goods deal was gonna happen at a gentleman's club called the Grouse.
Hold it!
So tell me about that. The Grouse. What sort of club is that? I ain't got the foggiest. Clubs ain't exactly my thing. But I am kind of curious. They're not places where a Ford student like you would be readily admitted. Have you looked in the mirror recently? I tell you what, me and Chief Inspector Toby could go in undercover. Could you, though? I could pick out a few good marks and see what else I could find out while I was in there. I really don't think you should go picking out anything. No pickpocketing allowed. Anyway, that's where these black market dealings were going to take place, is it? Yeah, it's gotta be. That's what the lower ranking detectives at the yard reckon. Says the even lower ranking detective. Alright. Alright, let's cycle back around. And then maybe let's look at our court record and see what we've got. We've got a clue. Something that's a mistake. What's the mistake? A clue perhaps. So let's look at the court record and see what we've got. Let's see. Let's look at everything. An advertisement for the Red-Headed League. Is there anything mentioned in here? On account of the bequest of the late Ezekiah Hopkins of Lebanon, Pennsylvania, there is now another vacancy open which entitles members of the league to a salary of £4 a week for purely nominal services. All red-headed men who are sound in body and mind and above the age of 21 years are eligible. Apply in person on the morning of the 31st at the park on Lime Street. Okay. I don't see anything else around here, right? What is this? No, this is just a picture of Mr. Vigil. Letter of introduction. Blackbird line. What was this? I don't remember what this was. Oh, it looks like this is some sort of steamship ticket. The SS Grouse. Oh. First class cabin 001. Yokohama departure 11th September. London arrival 1st November. Ah, that's the boat that Professor Mikotoba and Judge Jigoku came on from Japan, isn't it? Yes, I think it's called at Dunkirk on the north coast of France, for a night before finally arriving in Dover. I think it's been almost a year since we arrived in Dover on the SS Buria. It seems a shame not to keep your ticket as a memento of your trip, don't you think? Yes, I agree. I have mine safely in my diary. And I keep mine in my wallet, so I have it with me at all times. Oh, well, how strange. Where could it have gone? Are you like this on purpose, Mr. Naruhodo? Did I imagine it, or was that comment accompanied by a little sigh? Okay, all right. It's written on the back of a ticket for passage on a steamship. Okay, so this is what we present then, right? When she talks about the grouse. All right. Okay, so apparently the smuggled goods deal was going to happen at a gentleman's club called the Grouse. Are you sure it was a club and not a steamship? I've read about these clubs that exist here in Britain. As I understand it, they're places where well-to-do gentlemen socialize with friends and colleagues. Don't imagine for a second that a foreign student like you would be admitted. Seriously, is your mirror cracked or something? Do we know for sure that the contraband dealings were definitely happening at a club called the Grouse? The police are currently looking for evidence, but haven't found anything definitive yet. And I'm sorry to say that they probably won't. What do you mean by that? I mean that the place Inspector Gregson was secretly going to visit on 31st October may not have been a gentleman's club at all. You're showing a very irreverent attitude towards our country's police force there, Counsel. If it wasn't a gentleman's club, then what was it? A steamship. You think it's a ship? I have the evidence to prove it here. Let me see that. This dark-suited young man is not in the least bit untrustworthy. The other side, my lord. Be more specific next time. Ah, this would appear to be a ticket for a passage upon a steamship, yes. The SS Grouse. Oh boy, our first upset. So there's a steamship named the Grouse that happens to share a name with the club. But I'm afraid to say, there's a flaw in your logic there. How? Look at the ticket. Notice the date of arrival in port. The ship arrived at the port of Dover on 1st November. Ah. The day on which the sound, like gunshot, was heard on Fresno Street. In other words, on the day in question here, 31st October, when the victim was on his clandestine mission. That ship hadn't yet docked on British shores, but it was in France, right? And he had a ticket to France for the day before. I'm pretty sure we have that evidence. That would certainly make an undercover investigation somewhat challenging. The fact that the steamship hadn't yet reached Britain substantiates the defense's assertion that the victim was investigating the SS Grouse on the day in question. Then show your evidence for that assertion. Very well. He hits it with his unicorn post. In that case, counsel for the defense, present your evidence to the court now. Evidence that substantiates your claim that the victim was investigating the SS Grouse on 31st October. So we had a ticket or something for him, right? Where was that? We need to find that. The Ashogi papers, the passport, right? It was issued for travel to France the day before his body was discovered. So, date of departure within 1 week from 31st October. Right. Okay, so it's got to be that. Take that! What's this? A passport for travel issued to the victim? Yes? Dated 31st October? What are you suggesting? I'm suggesting that just one day before the inspector's body was discovered, there's a distinct possibility he wasn't even in the country. Exactly. And maybe he was killed on that boat, which explains why there's no blood at the scene. Order! Order! This document is for passage to France. It does appear to have been officially authorized. The day before the SS Grouse arrived at Dover, it docked on the northern coast of France for a night. According to my father, who was on board at the port of Dunkirk. Dunkirk, France. What could possibly have taken the victim there? The investigation? Ha 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 ha. I'm impressed, Ryonosuke Naruhodo. I certainly didn't expect you to get your hands on that passport. What? You mean, you knew about this? The prosecution strategy for this trial has been laid down by the Crown Prosecution Office. On the day before the incident, the victim was investigating contraband dealings at a London club. That's the outcome of Scotland Yard's investigations and the line the prosecution has been asked to follow. But personally, I don't agree. I think the prosecutor's office is trying to hide something. What? And now that you've expertly disproven their assertion, I intend to reveal what I believe that something to be. What are you playing at, Prosecutor Oshogi? A courtroom is a forum for the truth, my lord. Which is why it's my duty to present all the facts, without exception. So I'm really not sure whose side Kazuma is on. Let me guess, this was your intention from the outset, wasn't it? The reason Inspector Gregson secretly made his way to the steamship docked in France on the day in question was to carry out a mission for the Reaper. Oh, he's got to lay down his theory. The Reaper? I mean, it just doesn't make sense because Tobias Gregson has never been... He's never been convicted, so why would he be the target of the Reaper? Order, order! What on earth are you saying, counsel? The prosecution made an assertion in court yesterday. Inspector Gregson was investigating the identity of the Reaper. When he discovered the location of the man's secret hideout, he was killed. As I'm sure everyone can imagine, by the Reaper's hand. He's really convinced of this, but in reality, the truth is the opposite of that. What? Inspector Gregson wasn't investigating the Reaper at all. He was, in fact, acting for the Reaper. So you're saying the mission he was undertaking was, obviously, an assassination. I mean, that's actually kind of what we were saying, right? That maybe Gregson was the Reaper somehow. Because it kind of makes sense if they were all friends back then, right? Beric Van Zieks never carried out any of the actual killings. Whenever the Reaper's victims lost their lives, he always had a cast iron alibi. Which tells us that he must have had an accomplice. But if he knew who the Reaper was, why would he be investigating Gregson? That's what doesn't make any sense here. And you claim that was Inspector Gregson. Well, what do you think you're saying, eh? My boss would never have done nothing like that. And yet, when you consider all the facts, it all makes perfect sense. I don't know. No, it can't be. We also arrived at the same conclusion, didn't we? That Inspector Gregson was operating as the Reaper. Even so, there's no way that the person giving him his orders was Lord Van Zieks. No, the true Reaper is somebody else. Beric Van Zieks is not the Reaper. A predictable response from someone who's advocating for the man. And even if it's true that Gregson was operating as an agent of the Reaper, the suggestion that he went aboard the SS Grouse on an assassination mission doesn't follow at all. Oh, you have some solid reason for doubting the assertion, do you, Counsel? Absolutely. It's very simple. On the day in question, nobody was killed aboard that steamship. Professor Mikotoba and Judge Jigoku were on that very ship. If someone had been assassinated, I'm certain we would have heard about it. I mean, that's true. Ugh. Kazuma doesn't like our theory. What's so funny? You're right, of course. No suspicious deaths were reported on board the ship. I think reported is the key word here. But I think perhaps you've missed the point. That's precisely why Inspector Gregson himself lost his life. What? Gregson did board the SS Grouse that night with the intention of dispatching his mark. But his mission ended in failure. Failure? It seems that the defense hasn't yet grasped a very important detail here. What are you talking about? What detail? Inspector Gina Lestrade. What? What about her? The victim's notebook that you read an excerpt from earlier. That doesn't contain details of secret investigations at all. It describes 10 years of assassination plots to be carried out by the Reaper of the Bailey. You're lying. Even if all them bludgers what got taken out at it coming. My boss weren't the Reaper. Regina. There's no question that Tobias Gregson was heavily involved in the Reaper's activities. You may just be an apprentice, but if you've spent any time at Scotland Yard, you must have heard rumors. I ain't heard nothing, and I don't believe a word of it. She's heard nothing, but she doesn't believe it. Then testify again as a representative of Scotland Yard. Consider it your chance to defend your boss. I don't... I concur. The witness will give a new formal testimony. Miss Lestrade, you will tell the court everything you know about Inspector Gregson's secret notebook. Oh boy. My goodness. What are we gonna hear? She's angry now. That face, man. Yeah, this notebook does have a load of stuff what the Reaper got up to these past 10 years. Names of victims, dates and places and stuff. And the last entry in there was 31st October. It said grouse for the place on that date and then the name of the mark. Wonder who it was. There was a note about him being a criminal what got away from the Reaper in court 10 years ago or something. But honest, the boss didn't do none of it. It was just investigating the Reaper, that's all. Poor Gina. I feel so bad for her. Keep personal opinion out of your testimony, witness. We require only established fact here. Oh boy. This must be so hard for her. You can't deny it now, surely, Ryonosuke Naruto. What can I deny? The notebook contained the name of the final mark and the location where the assassination would take place. That's information that the victim could only have known if he was working with the Reaper. Maybe. So, who was to be this final mark? Go ahead, Inspector Lestrade. Read the name for the court. The name that's written alongside the entry that mentions the grouse on 31st October. I'll do read this then. Reading's still not her strong suit. That ain't the problem, alright, Odo? It's a funny name. It ain't English. It's hard to read. So it's someone from overseas? Let me have a bash at it. Ishiro? Is it Seishiro? Who's that? Yeah, Seishiro. Is that the name of the judge? Jigokyu, maybe. Oh, it is the judge. Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, no. Was Judge Jigoku actually the professor? And Hazuma's dad wrongly executed? Oh, what? It can't be. Sheshiro Jikoku? But that's Judge Jigoku. Sheshiro Jikoku? Certainly not an English name. You're right. But that can't be right. I know Judge Jigoku. And I saw him the day before yesterday here in London. So I know for a fact that the man hasn't been assassinated. As I said, the Reaper failed. Oh. Gregson missed his chance to kill his mark and return to British shores. But the Reaper wouldn't tolerate the mistake, so he killed the inspector, personally. But you think that's Van Zieks. The Reaper, of course, being the accused, Beric Van Zieks. It's an undeniably logical argument. No, it's not. It makes no sense at all. Zuma, you planned for the trial to go this way all along, didn't you? Uh-oh. Van Zieks has something to say. He's got his wine back. Pray, forgive the discourtesy of filling my hallowed chalice whilst I stand accused of murder. I mean, normally I'm like, oh boy, here's about to be just the absolute stuck up response ever. But in this case, I'm kind of rooting him on. Lord Van Zieks. The accused has no right to speak uninvited in court. You will return to the dock. I say nothing of whether or not I'm the Reaper. That's the task of this court to decide. But there is one thing I can say unequivocally. That girl is no detective. What? Nah, that's right, I'm an inspector. Repeating rumors heard around the yard, reading entries from a notebook of unconfirmed origin. That's not testimony. It's practically a script. No doubt the rest of this trial will go exactly as you've clearly planned. I mean, he's not wrong. Your hatred of me is understandable. In your mind, I'm sure I am the Reaper who sent your father to the gallows all those years ago. But you're in danger of becoming a far more sinister Reaper yourself by attempting to have me condemned with this feeble excuse for testimony. What did you say? Mr. Naruhodo, this is our chance. My lord, the defense requests that the defendant be allowed to speak. He may be privy to important information relating to the testimony just given by the witness. He's deciding. Come on, unicorn, slam down. I knew it. Very well, I'll make an exception and grant the request. I'm surprised he's not looking at his clock currently all the time. The defendant may remain in the witness stand for the cross-examination. Then allow me to toast the court's impartiality. Don't raise your glass in my direction, sir. Counsel for the defense begin the cross-examination immediately. Oh boy. He is definitely going to have some stuff to add, man. This is going to be like, whoo, it's going to be super drama. At once, my lord. Here we go. Alright, the Reaper's notebook. Yeah, this notebook does have a load of stuff about what the Reaper got up to these past 10 years. How does she know that? In other words, it shows that Gregson was basically acting as the Reaper. Not you and all. That ain't the only explanation, is it? He could have been investigating the Reaper in secret, and that notebook said what he found out. If I may. When originally people began referring to me as the Reaper, I didn't object. I believed the power to intimidate London's criminal classes into compliance with the law to be beneficial. But you carried out your own investigations into the true identity of the Reaper, didn't you? Yes, and those investigations proved conclusively that Gregson was one arm of the Reaper. One arm? What are you on about? The Reaper's victims were all extremely shrewd criminals, at the top of their game. There's simply no way one person could have taken them on alone. The Reaper is an organization, with you at its head. I'm not even going to deem that with a response. I had spies at the yard, keeping me abreast of Gregson's movements, letting me know when he was elsewhere. So I'd been able to check the most recent entry in his book. I knew the location. You knew it said grouse? Believing it to be a reference to the gentleman's club, I went there on the day in question to investigate, alone. Ah, so that explains why several members of the club claimed to have seen you there. But of course, the inspector was not there. Because at the time, he was making his way to the steamship docked on the northern coast of France, as shown by the passport found in the victim's metal trunk. Yes. Very well then, back to your testimony about the contents of this notebook. Fine. Is something wrong, Mr. Naruhodo? You seem a little shocked by something a moment ago. Oh, no, it's all right. I'm overthinking this, aren't I? Names of victims, dates and places and stuff, and the last entry in there was 31st October. Names of victims, dates, places, and stuff? What in particular? Well, besides the victims' names, this other name kept cropping up. What other name was that? It's the one I told you yesterday. The same name written over and over again. Was that the name of the lady assassin? You mean Assassin? Yeah, that's the one. She's a friend of yours or something, isn't she? I wouldn't say that, no. Were you even listening yesterday? Assassin. The assassin. What? Like a killer, you mean? Gregson was the tactician, the one who came up with the plan of attack. He investigated the marks thoroughly, finding out when they would be vulnerable and who to use to get at them. But the person actually executing his plans was someone else, you're saying? If that's true, then the Reaper does indeed start to sound like an organized group of vigilantes. Ah, then perhaps it was said on the passport document, permission for the applicant and one additional person to travel. So he brought, could that additional person have been the actual assassin this time? Clearly the assassin who was meant to take Shishiro Jigoku's life. Gina, can you confirm that against the final entry that listed grouse against Shishiro Jigoku? What name was written? Oh, well, that's the only entry that didn't have a name next to it as it happens. What? It just add like a question mark or something there, I think. In other words, Gregson himself didn't know the identity of the assassin in that case. But Gregson was the one making the plans, was he not? Oh, how infuriating. A nameless assassin. It said grouse for the place on that day, and then the name of the mark. And you're saying that the mark listed was Shishiro Jigoku. That's what it said. Funny name, if you ask me. And I thought your name was odd. So pleased to have lost my crown there. Mr. Jigoku is the presiding judge of Japan's Supreme Court of Judicature. I remember the man. He came to our country as a visiting student 16 years ago. Studying international law and diplomacy under your tutelage, Lord Strongheart. That bearded young fellow was a very able man, I must say. So Lord Strongheart was Judge Jigoku's mentor. If I'm not mistaken, he returned to Japan 10 years ago now. 10 years ago, after that fateful case. Precisely. In the aftermath of the professor case, his repatriation was organized immediately. It's a mystery why such a man would be listed in the inspector's notebook. It is a mystery, isn't it? I didn't think it was possible, but the mood in here just got even worse now. Maybe I'll just keep talking. That's probably a good idea. There was a notebook about him being a criminal. What got away from the Reaper in court 10 years ago or something? What do you mean a criminal? Judge Jigoku is no criminal. Where is he? Well, don't ask me. I don't know nothing about it. Oh, do you remember what Father told us? That Judge Jigoku did once appear in court here in Britain. It was related to the professor case, I'm sure. Yes, of course, you're right. It was something about, like, he was held in contempt of court or something, right? Shishiro was trying to mitigate Genshin's guilt, so he took the stand to testify. But he got a little carried away and, actually managed to break the witness stand. He also said some contemptuous words about the British Empire, for which he was charged. He said some treasonous words, I guess? I don't know. It was a pitiful situation, yes. I'd forgotten all about it, but I prosecuted that trial too, as it happens. You did? It was considered to be an adjunct to the professor proceedings, you see. But he was acquitted after being told to make reparation for the damage caused to the stand. And there you have it. Have what? Surely the accused hasn't forgotten his own rule. That there's no saving anyone who faces the Reaper in court, guilty or innocent alike. What? No! Are you suggesting that the reason Judge Jigoku was targeted for assassination? The man was sent back to Japan immediately after that trial. The Reaper had no time to do his work. But then, 10 years later, the mark returns to Britain once more. Perhaps now you start to see just how vindictive the Reaper is. Come on, that's absurd. To take someone's life for that? Isn't the whole premise of the Reaper absurd? Killing those who have been found innocent. No, because the whole thing about the Reaper is he was targeting people who bribed their way to an innocent verdict or somehow manipulated the system, but they were actually guilty. Clearly the rules by which the man operates are beyond a sane person's comprehension. But it doesn't make sense. Alright, I've had just about enough of this. Gina? All this nonsense about the boss planning to kill people. It's cobblers. Come on, Odo. Yes? She wants us to say we agree. Why aren't you saying nothing? Why aren't you yelling out objection or something? What? You've got to find a flaw, you do usually. Someone's lying here, no question. You've got to work out who it is. Please, for the boss. She's really got her heart set on this. That outburst was an insult to the court and to your own testimony. I might have known that a common pickpocket from the back slums couldn't make a detective. Oh man. When this trial is over, you will forfeit your warrant card, Miss Lestrade. Is that clear? I've had it with the lot of you. It's lies every bleeding place you look in this world, isn't it? Well, I've had enough. Gina. So have I. After that little speech of Gina's, I've made up my mind. To do what, Mr. Naruhodo? There was one point in this cross-examination when something that was said just didn't sit right with me. One statement that seemed odd. Oh, do you mean? I'm not going to let Gina's plea for help fall on deaf ears. It was like the first statement, right? Come on, Odo, help. You've got to find a flaw somewhere. Hold it. Let's see. I want to thank you, Gina. You helped me find my resolve. What do you mean? Amongst everything we've heard during this cross-examination, there's one thing that defies explanation. One inconsistency. What? An inconsistency? Really, Odo? I don't quite know what it means yet, but... yes, there's an inconsistency in something that was said by... who was it said by? Can we look back? Let's see. Let's see how far we can look back. Kazuma. Okay, so that was something that we said. Kazuma said it, right? About, the Reaper just indiscriminately kills whoever, right? Take that! Right? That's the only thing I could think of. By you, Kazuma Ashogi. Me. Is this some attempt at filibustering, counsel? Prosecutor Ashogi has given no testimony. What are you suggesting? I said that was inconsistent. You let something slip that you shouldn't have. When I present the relevant piece of evidence, I imagine you realize what you've done. Very well then, counsel, go ahead. What evidence reveals this alleged inconsistency by something Prosecutor Ashogi has said? Uh-oh. What was it? Apparently we're on the right track, but what was it? The autopsy of Professor's final victim. The passport. Metal traveling trunk. What in the world is it supposed to be? The Ashogi papers. The last will and testament of Genshin Ashogi that Mr. Vigil claims disappeared after the convict's execution. Mr. Ashogi described it as the only weapon I have left. What is it supposed to be? The inspector's identification card. I don't even know. That's just the watch. What is it supposed to be? We're on the right track. But what was it? A freestanding notice board completely covered in notes. There's a bloody handprint. I don't know. What else could it be? I'm looking at the different evidences that we have. We have an old photographic print displayed rather prominently. Person on the left is Lord Clint Van Zieks. I wonder if it could be related to the photograph. I'm trying to think of what all he said, right? What was it he said? I don't even know. What else do we have? Autopsy report. An accurate estimation of the time of death is not possible. Maybe? What was it? I'm really not even sure. Let's think back to what was said, right? I don't think it's time to use the lucky charm just yet, but something was said. What was it he said? I'm trying to think. The only thing he said was about what did he say? Let's think. Inspector Gregson's metal traveling case. Moved by the scene. Was there something in here? Let's see. What was in it? Can we open it? Oh, let's see. Can we open this? Was there something in here maybe? Let's have a look inside. Because I'm really not sure. What was inside? This was where we had the passport, right? And look, there's something inside. Oh, let's see. It appears to be a passport authorizing him to travel overseas. Was Inspector Gregson about to go on a trip abroad then? Perhaps the date of departure might tell us something. That was... Oh. What is it? It was for travel on 31st October, just one day before the incident. What? Really? Gregson went to France the day before his body was discovered. Was there something about that? I wish that we could go farther back in the history. But I don't think we can go back any farther. So, what was it? You let something slip that you shouldn't have. Let's see. He did say something about... There was discussion about it being... Oh, wait! How did he know that it was... Okay. So if we think back, when we pointed out that it was the steamship, not the club, he acted like he already knew that information. How did he know that? So I think either we present the passport or the trunk, but it was in the trunk, right? Let's see what happens if we present that. If that fails, then we can try directly on the passport, right? This is a trunk that belonged to Inspector Gregson. Metal construction, is it? It's certainly very heavy. What's this? A bloodstain, and a relatively fresh one, too. What? You mean that ain't grease from all the boss's fish and chips? Yeah, we discovered that was a bloodstain. Fresh blood on the inspector's trunk. That's just that the victim was traveling without luggage when he was killed. So he said, yes, there's something suspicious about the steamship. That can't be. There was no mention of any trunk in Scotland Yard's report. Did Kazuma take it? Because he did know information already. Yes, there's a reason for that. Immediately after the inspector's body was discovered, one of the street peddlers made off with the trunk, hoping to sell it. But I found it, me with me nose for trouble. Which means that nobody should have known anything about the trunk. Unless, of course, we're talking about somebody who was present when the victim was killed. And yet, during the cross-examination of the witness just now, you said this, Kazuma. Because at the time he was making his way to the steamship docked on the northern coast of France, as shown by the passport found in the victim's metal trunk. Yeah, so I thought he knew it because it was in the court record, but maybe not. So the question is, how did you know about the inspector's trunk? We know the man went on a trip to France. Where else would he have put his passport? That's not good enough. But you knew it was a metal trunk. Oh, that's true. Answer me honestly, Kazuma. On 31st October, where exactly were you? Was he the secret assassin? At the port of Dunkirk, on board the SS Grouse. Is that the answer you're looking for, Ryunosuke? Kazuma, what did you... Is he lying, or is he playing games, or is he being serious? I hadn't considered this possibility before, but if Kazuma was there on the ship, then it could only have been for one purpose. Oh no, Mr. Naruhodo, surely you don't think... Come on, Ryunosuke, you know the rules. The only thing that really talks in the courtroom is hard evidence. Yes, true. As I understand it, Inspector Gregson always took that case with him when he traveled. So as it stands, you've proved nothing. Kazuma? Are you challenging me to prove it beyond all reasonable doubt? That you were there that day in the same place as the inspector? He was there with Gregson. There's a clue that you've overlooked, a secret that trunk can tell us. It's the sword slash. I can't be sure at this point. I'll need to verify it, but I have a nasty feeling that I'm going to be right. We never pulled the sword out of the sheath. It's going to have blood on it, isn't it? Or surely you would have wiped that off by now, right? But maybe it's got part of the fabric of the trunk or something? I don't know. The accusation being made is deeply disturbing, but nevertheless, we must test it. The defense will identify for the court where in the trunk this alleged clue is to be found. That's easy. There's a slash mark right here. Where is the evidence that ties Prosecutor Ashogi to Inspector Gregson? It's right here. Have you seen this huge gash across the side of the trunk here? It's gone right through the leather and into the metal behind. Gosh, for a metal chest like this to have been so badly damaged, whatever made the gas must have struck the side of the trunk with considerable force. I wonder how it happened. I wonder. This is your proof. What do you say to that, Prosecutor Shogi? Personally, I think tying the defense counsel to the inspector's trunk and tossing it into the sea would be more helpful. What? At least that way, London's courtrooms will be safe from his destructive accusations. I believe that was a rather long-winded way of telling you that you're wrong, Mr. Naruhodo. Very well, then let us see if you sink or swim under the weight of this penalty, counsel. Okay, so that wasn't it. Alright, well, I guess we'll have to try again. Mr. Naruhodo, you can't allow yourself to be drowned at sea yet. I was hoping never to let that happen, funnily enough. The defense will identify for the court where in the trunk this alleged clue is to be found. Alright, so where is the evidence that ties Prosecutor Ashogi? Is it the blood? I mean, if we open it up, what's inside? Can we open it up and see if there's anything inside? Oh, it's this. Right? Wait. Is that part of his sword? Do you see that? There's something stuck in the side of the trunk there. It's glinting. It looks like a fragment of metal of some sort. But it's wedged in so tightly I can't remove it. Well, don't cut yourself. You'd better leave it, I think. So we were right, but not exactly. So this is the evidence. That's what it was. I knew it was the slash, but There's a small piece of metal lodged in the wall of the trunk here, like the tip of a blade. Eh, a blade? Kazuma, slung around your waist, as ever today, is the esteemed blade Kuruma. Of course it is. Won't you draw it here in this courtroom for all to see? Exercise caution, my learned friend. That man is the son of London's most notorious killer. Bailiff, watch Persecutor Ashogi like a hawk. That won't be necessary. It's going to be his other sword, isn't it? No, the tip is gone. Right? Oh no! The tip is broken. If the fragment of metal from the trunk fits together with the end of the sword, the question of who was there with Inspector Gregson will be answered. Agreed, Kazuma Shogi? Oh, man. Expertly done, Ryonosuke. That's a point to you, and well deserved. Do you mean to tell the court, Prosecutor Shogi? Yes, on 31st October, I accompanied Inspector Gregson to Dunkirk in order to carry out a mission. So the additional person authorized to travel was me. He was the unnamed assassin. And the mission was the assassination of the Mark. What? I mean, this is just getting better and better. You mean you're the killer whose name was omitted from this notebook? You were following the Reaper's orders to dispatch Judge Jigoku? Let me make one thing perfectly clear. I have killed no one. Explain. I accepted the assassination mission, yes, and I accompanied Gregson to Dunkirk, but I never had any intention of carrying out the plan. You were never going to do it? We can believe Kazuma-sama, I'm sure. After all, Judge Jigoku arrived safely in London the following day. Yeah, but Gregson didn't. On the 31st, I boarded a train from London with Inspector Gregson. We traveled to Dover, where we crossed the Channel to Dunkirk. There, we boarded the SS Grouse and made for the cabin deck, as indicated in the plan. You went to Judge Jigoku's cabin? Exactly. He wasn't there, though. We decided to wait, But you've already told us you had no intention of going through with it anyway. I didn't come to Great Britain to take anyone's life, so I left Gregson and disembarked the ship. I spent that night at a boarding house in town and returned to England the following morning. A boarding house in Dunkirk? My signature will be in the register book. It would be simple enough to verify. It also seems like a weak alibi. Then what became of Jigoku? Gregson was no assassin, so the Mark was spared. I'm sure it's easy enough to imagine what happened after that. Gregson returned to England as well, having failed to complete the mission. He met with the Reaper in that room on Fresno Street to report the failure, causing the infuriated mastermind to pull the trigger. That makes no sense, and in his wretched agent's life. That just doesn't check out. Why would you waste all of that time? It doesn't make sense. That's the real truth behind Inspector Gregson's murder. Objection. But if you did nothing, as you claim, how did the tip of your sword come to be lodged in the inspector's trunk? That's exactly what I was wondering. Explain it? I don't need to answer that. Yeah, you do? The victim was killed by a gunshot. A small fragment of Japanese blade isn't relevant to the case. Yeah, it is! And accordingly, I choose to exercise my right to silence on that matter. No, I don't think so. Be that as it may, the court will sequester the sword as evidence. Oh boy. As you wish, my lord. Alright. The illustrious blade passed down through generations of the Ashogi clan. We must take immediate action now to verify whether Shishiro Jigoku remains unharmed. What? Remains unharmed? I agree. That should be our first priority. We have to find him? It's recently come to my attention that he hasn't been seen since yesterday. How did you... When a foreign dignitary invited to Great Britain goes missing for 24 hours, it's only natural that the question of his safety should arise. You don't mean to say that you think Judge Jigoku may have been killed? The Reaper has more than one assassin at his disposal, and he has the power and influence to give orders from inside of a prison cell. Isn't that right, Lord Van Zieks? He's just like, if I were truly the Reaper, I'd be able to tell you. Oh, man. Order. Order in the court. Order. We will take an emergency recess for 30 minutes. Now? Guests of the symposium have been told to maintain regular contact with the organizer's office. If the man can't be located within half an hour, we will have to assume the worst. Oh no, not Judge Jigoku. No one would want to kill a harmless Japanese man who'd only just arrived in the country. I mean, but is he harmless? Except that is. For the Reaper, wanting to finish off a mark that slipped through the net 10 years ago. I would have to agree. Mr. Naruhodo, for the defense's sake. My lord? I sincerely hope we are successful. If we're unable to confirm Mr. Jigoku's healthy existence in the next 30 minutes, you will face grave difficulties. Court is adjourned for 30 minutes. Man. That is some epic drama. Kazuma-sama, the Reaper's assassin. I feel as though I'm in a nightmare. I can hardly believe it either. But on the other hand, Kazuma isn't in the habit of making up stories. Oh boy. I have such a terrible sense of foreboding. If something awful has happened to Judge Jigoku, then I feel as though things will only spiral further and further out of control. I mean, that's probably true. I felt it from the moment I stepped into the courthouse this morning. That strange sensation that we were careening towards a foregone conclusion. Well, in the worst case, we might only have 30 minutes left. Unfortunately, though, I don't think there's anything we can do but wait now. We're out of options. Actually, there may be one last hand we can play. Or rather, one last ear. Of course. The little Mr. Sholmes doll that Iris gave us. If for some reason you completely run out of options in the trial today, then just pull this little Hurley's ears as hard as you possibly can. Perhaps now is the time. What should I do? Pull Hurley's ears or not? Sure, let's do it. Here goes then. I'm gonna do it. Good luck, Mr. Naruhodo. No looking back. Hee! Heave! I hope it doesn't play a noise. Ow! That scream sounded like Mr. Sholmes. Mr. Sholmes? Where are you? Here, my dear fellow, here. It's the felt doll talking. Pull the ears again, Mr. Naruhodo, as hard as you can. All right, then. I'll put all my strength into it. Heave! Ow! Please, my dear fellows, you don't need to pull my ear off. Mr. Sholmes, where are you? Myself and my trusty partner. They're on the SS Buria, right? Oh, the SS Grouse. Are presently in the first-class cabin area of the SS Grouse. The SS Grouse? She left over last night after the final pieces of cargo were loaded. We are currently docked at Dunkirk, but due to be underway again in half an hour. You've taken a ship to France? Please, even with my athletic prowess, I would struggle to jump the Straits of Dover. After we left Baker Street last night, we hurried by cab to station and by train to the port, in order to board this vessel in time. So you mean you'd already worked it out? That the steamship was where everything really took place? Mr. Naruhodo, pray, what is my name? Sherlock Sholmes, world-famous great detective. Recited to perfection. Well done. You're a genius, Mr. Sholmes. That's the only word for it. Ow, 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 ow. Miss Susato, gently with this genius's air, please. Oh my, I'm ever so sorry. If I may, Sholmes. Is that going to be Susato's dad? Ah, there you are, Mikotoba. You may remember that it was in fact I who made the connection to the SS Grouse. At Scotland Yard yesterday, when we examined that notebook, and I recalled my steamship ticket. Ah ha 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 ha! But of course it was, my dear fellow. And not once did I controvert the fact. I merely had our court-bound companions utter my name. Yes, you did, didn't you? We've just entered a recess. The trial resumes 30 minutes from now. And if we're unable to present any new leads, then I'm afraid to say... Do not fret, please. It's for precisely that purpose that my partner and I have made this journey. I have no doubt we shall have welcome news for you within the half hour. Thank you, Mr. Sholmes. That would be wonderful. Until later, then. Yes, you'll be hearing from us if you're not in touch first. Ow, 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 ow. I shan't be hearing anything if you keep tugging my ear in that mindless fashion. Whatever was the idea behind making a receiver operated in that way in the first place, Sholmes? Why, the deuce would I know? It's Iris's invention, not mine. Oh, man. Whilst I know how much you enjoy being the hero of the hour, Sholmes, we have but half that now before the grouse puts to sea again. If we don't conclude our investigations rapidly, we shall find ourselves in Naples before long. There are times, Mikotoba, when you make a surprising amount of sense. So, let us begin. Oh, man. First class number 2. Yes, this is the one. But I don't believe an investigation of the cabin is going to be plain sailing. That crewman standing in front of the door is an angry-looking fellow. Why are you loitering here? Who are you? My dear fellows, do you not recognize a world-famous great detective when you see one? The question really ought to be, who are you? Do you not recognize world-traveling great sailor, Chicken Stroganoff? Oh, gosh. Okay. Let's see. Can I say this with a straight face? Do you not recognize world-traveling great sailor Chicken Stroganoff when you see? Great detective, huh? I don't think so. Oh my goodness. You see that, Mictoba? It would appear that this man is a devoted follower of mine. Goodness me, is that a tattoo that says Sholmes? I must say, while such adoration is flattering, naturally it does leave me a little cold. What are you talking about? Leave now! How distressing. My loyal devotee knows me only by name and not by appearance. And yet I already know a great deal about you, sir. You have a brother, I believe. Like yourself, he's a shipman. Currently traveling the world aboard a Russian steamship, in fact. How could you know this? Elementary, my dear Mictoba. I'm sure it was. 3 days ago, I was bound for London aboard this ship you see. We're looking for one of my fellow passengers, a man by the name of Jigoku. There is no one with this name on board. But we know that he purchased a ticket for passage. Ah, you mean Eastern man? He left ship 2 hours ago. Here at Dunkirk, he said something about emergency, I think. What? Are you sure? So Shishiro realized that we're after him, has he? His cabin is the one behind you. We should like to investigate, please. No, I have orders not to let even mouse inside. Mictoba, be a good man and draw the sailor's attention away, would you? Make up some excuse so that he leaves the area. You said that right in front of him. Doesn't great detective see that even sailors have ears, both left and right? Curses! The plan is ruined! And you have only yourself to blame, I'm afraid, Sholmes. Forget it. Cabin door is locked. Even if I am not here, you cannot get inside. Mictoba, I'm sure you haven't forgotten my special talent, have you? Opening any lock? Within a mere 5 seconds. So if you'd be so kind as to forward me the requisite time, old friend, in your typically accommodating manner. How could I refuse such a typically unappealing request, old friend? So I need to distract that burly sailor for 5 seconds, do I? Good man, so the game is afoot. Oh man. Well, of course, we are going to do that in the next episode. What is hiding in that room? And we are going to find out next time, I hope. What has happened to Judge Jigoku? Why was Kazuma on board this ship with Gregson? Is he secretly the assassin? What even is going on? This is such a mess, and it's all going to get tied up. But we have to find more out in this 30-minute recess, which we will do in the next episode. So if you like this kind of content, please make sure to like, subscribe, follow, share, all that good stuff. If you want to watch live, we're on Twitch at twitch.tv/thehour27. I have my schedule posted in the about and in the description. And if you want to see which games we're playing each day, I post them on x.com/thehour27. And I hope you'll join me in the next one. Until then, guys, bye. Alright, let's go ahead and give this a save. Save. This one. Final. It's the final. Alright. Now, we'll head back to the title. We already saved. Oops. Don't save. Yes! Alright. So we have done it, ma'am. Now we gotta investigate on the ship. It's gonna be crazy, man. Alright, so, I hope you guys enjoyed that one. I had a lot of fun with it. I'm really curious how they're gonna wrap all of this up. It's gonna be interesting, definitely interesting. We will be back here tomorrow at 3 p.m. Central Time. We will be playing some more Nancy Drew, Secret of the Old Clock. So I'm trying to remember where we left off there. We have some more. We Oh yeah, we were gonna have to interpret the hobo code somehow. So we gotta, and we have several other items that we need to figure out how they work. So we have like that strange record that had the weird story. It's somehow connected to. It talked about like the door, the hidden door in the passageway, and so I think that that might be related to the record. So we may have to listen to that again and figure that out. And then we just have the whole attic in the carriage house we have to figure out. There's so much stuff that we've got to figure out. And then after that, we will be heading back to Miss 3. We have reached the very bottom of Adana, and there's this mysterious flower that seems to be triggered by sunlight, but we have to figure out how that's going to work. So that will be all the fun that we'll be doing tomorrow at 3 p.m. So for now, let's see. Let's go ahead and raid Cole the Feeble. He is playing Resident Evil 4, so it should be interesting. But anyways, thank you guys so much for hanging out with me today. I hope you had as much fun as I did. Hope you're looking forward to the next episode, which will be next Saturday. So anyways, I will see you guys tomorrow at 3 p.m. And until then, guys, bye!